This episode of SecuraTip is brought to you by the SANS Institute. Use checkout code SecuraBit_Tech5 to receive 5% off a course of your choosing. Welcome to SecuraTip episode 3, where we'll discuss a portable malware analysis tool created by Brian Baskin called Noriben. Alright folks, so as I talked about in the intro, today we're going to talk about Noriben, which is a portable malware analysis tool created by Brian Baskin. And basically, what we have here is almost like as I would describe it, like an intelligent wrapper for procmon. So basically, this is a tool that is not your end-all be-all solution, right? It's not going to give you all the detail you would get from running through Cuckoo or running it through a sandbox like Cuckoo or something like that. But it's going to give you enough data to work with in situations where you may not have access to all the tools you normally would have access to. In addition to that, this is also a great tool, as he mentions in this article someplace. When malware has some anti-VM evasion techniques or something along those lines, so you can just throw this tool along with procmon on a physical device or whatever you need to do to get around the evasion tactics and get rolling. So to show you what's going on here, I'm just going to pop into it real quick. For those of you who may not be familiar with what procmon is, it's a System Turtles tool. Basically it's just going to show you everything that the process is doing, if it's creating more service, creating more processes, manipulating or modifying files, registry, any TCP connections, UDP connections, everything that a process is doing is going to be caught in procmon. One of your problems here is it's very noisy. As you can see, I let this run for like 2 seconds with normal system behavior, so this is not when anything crazy is going on, and you can see the amount of data we have. So what we typically do is we go to our filters and then we start adding stuff like, well, we really don't care unless the, let's say the process name is malware.exe. We add that, and then we say we really don't care unless it's an operation like create file. Stuff like we think is significant as an analyst, significant events as an analyst. So Noriben will take procmon, run it, grab the data that procmon generates, and then export it out in a fashion and do some analysis on it to determine what is relevant to you. Now, you can still customize this further by setting up your own filters like we have here using a procmon configuration file, which I believe he does mention somewhere in here. Somewhere in this he talks about that. But you can basically, here you go. So you can use a procmon configuration file so that you can tune this to your own environment. Every machine is going to act a little bit differently, so you can tailor out the noise on your machine specifically that way. But without further ado, let's actually just run the tool. So to install it, there's really no crazy installs going on here. As long as you have Python installed in the standard libraries, you can get it up. Just download from GitHub, which he has a link to on his page, and I'll link to it as well. I just grabbed that Python file, threw it in my tools directory, and you'll see noriben.py there. So how we run this typically is I'm going to get some malware samples, run a malware sample, or start up Noriben, then run those malware samples, let them run for a little bit, and then see what happens, see what it's able to collect. Now, I would usually do this with one, but just to give us a whole bunch of data, I'm going to extract a whole bunch of these, and we'll run them all. Alright, so before I run that, let's go ahead and get And I'll show you the command options real quick. So not a whole lot going on here, right? So you have your help, you have debugging options, and you have an option to reanalyze a CSV. So the output from this is going to be a CSV file and a text file. If you wanted to reanalyze after you changed up your filters or added a different configuration file, or after he's updated this tool, but then you could just run this TAC-R and give it the CSV file, and it'll reanalyze and spit out a new text file for you. But we're not doing any of that. We're just going to run it as is. Oh, all right, hold on. Cancel, cancel, cancel. I forgot I already had it open. Let's close it out and do it again. Alright, so now we can see that it started it up. It's going to start the file, or it's launch the file. It's running procmon again, so you can see it's launching procmon. Procmon should be capturing stuff, which it is right now. And let's go ahead and run the malware. Let's arrange by type. Make this easy on myself. And enter. So now a whole bunch of crap is launching. And I'm going to go ahead and pause while this is running and give it a little bit of time to run. Alright, so I've let this run for a little bit, and as you can see, it's still trucking along. We can see everything that's happening on this machine, every registry file that's being touched, everything that's going on. And this should be enough for us to get the data we need, so I'm going to go ahead and hit Control-C to stop the logging. Now I'm going to pause again in a moment because it's going to take a little bit to take all this data that we gave it, parse it, and convert that to a text file. So I'll pause until that's over. Alright, and we're back. And you can see that we're now presented with a text output of everything that happened. So it's going to divide it out into certain categories that we're going to see here. So first category being the processes that were created. So you can see what created what processes. And we'll recognize some of these names here. We'll see the file activity, so any files that were modified in any directory, in any way at all. If any new files were created, if they're deleted, the important things that we want to know about. Now, you should note here that the MD5 is included, which is something Noriben is bringing to the table here, not something that procmon was doing. So now we can take all these hashes and run them through Automator, as we showed you last week, or any of the other online tools or command line tools to check against reputation databases for MD5s. So file activity, then we have registry activity after that, and then network activity, unique host, and I think that's it. Yep. All right, and then unique host, right? So these are all the domains and IPs associated with the traffic that you see here. And of course we see this is all the registry stuff. Now this is still going to be a little hard to look at first. So I would recommend using one of the tools I created called Tech Collect to start trying to pull out things that that you want to see. So Noriben.py, now we want to go with, that is the one there, 39.text. There we go. And give it a tech S for summary. And now this will start telling us, okay, hey, there's 617.95 hashes in here, there's 24 domains listed, 19 IPv4 addresses, 1 IPv6, doc, these are all the EXEs, all the image files. So let's look at some of these, right? So image, and these are all the images that were touched or manipulated from this config file or from the Noriben output. Let's look at IP4, right? And this is all the IPs that you see at the end here. But where it really gets useful is, say you want to run Automator against all of the MD5s. Well, you can use this to pull out all the MD5s and pipe it to a file, right? MD5s out. And now in the tools directory we have MD5.out, open with Notepad++, and we have a whole file that we can then use to feed into Automator or just check into ourselves. While I'm showing you the text pad here, our text version, you can look through all of this in CSV file as well that's also exported, and that'll make it a little easier for you if you want to filter on certain things within Excel. But that covers what I wanted to show you with Noriben. It's a really cool tool. I look forward to using this in environments where I don't have access to all the normal tools I would typically have in these situations. Hope you enjoyed the show.